We're back with retired Navy Captain Jerry Coffey, a keynote speaker, author, and media commentator. Before break, we were talking a little bit about communication and tapping. Are you able to give us a little bit of example of what tapping is? For people that are not in the military, we're not really familiar.
Well, it wasn't really a military issue. Most naval aviators, know Morse code with dots and dashes, but that's just rote memory. Our little communication system that we call a tap code was based upon 25 letters of our alphabet. We throw out the letter K because you can use a C interchangeably most of the time. Then we arrange those remaining 25 letters in 5 rows of 5 letters each, one row on top of the other. As you guys are looking at it, for example, it would be A through E in the top row, F through J in the second row, third row, fourth row, fifth row of 5, putting Z in the lower right-hand corner. It gives me 5 horizontal rows and 5 vertical columns, all in the same little square. A is up in the corner, first row, first column. So I want to tap an A on the wall, I tap. Once for the row, once for the column. So A is 1 and 1. B is in the first row, but the second column over. 1 and 2. C, first row, third column. And so on. N is right in the middle, third row, third column. Of course, Z is in the lower right-hand corner, which is fifth row, fifth column. And that's how the system was based. And then we developed all kinds of refinements. And, when the guy who was receiving the message you were sending recognized the word, he would just give you a double tap and you cut off the word and go on the next one. It was amazing how fast we could communicate, almost at a regular conversational pace. And then you could translate those numbers in the taps to flashing your hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, that kind of thing. And you could, Admiral Jeremiah Denton, retired, also a U.S. Senator, retired, had the presence of mind to flash with his eyes the word torture when he was being interviewed by an anti-war activist group. So that was the first inclination or indication that our government had that we were being tortured there. But he was flashing, but he was using Morse code because in blinking your eyes, you can close your eyes and hold them longer or just a little blink. So he would spell out T-O-R-T-U-R-E, T-O-R-T-U-R-E by blinking his eyes. An amazing feat. And he's answering questions at the same time, but had, as I say, the presence of mind to be able to communicate that with Morse code at the same time. Amazing.
It's amazing that you guys can communicate through tapping and eyes and things like that. And today, still, people have generally a tough time communicating.
That's one of the things that I emphasize, Evan, as you can imagine. I mean, I talk about communicating in the presentations that I give, and that people don't have to tap through the walls in the offices. We don't have to. When we sometimes get so wrapped up in our technology that we forget to get up out of our chair, walk around the corner, and get into the office and communicate with another person eye to eye. And with that personal contact, you have more empathy, more understanding, more insight into what's going on in that person's life rather than with an email, for example. Person-to-person communication in business is extremely important. And I think that technology has led us away from that to our detriment.
What advice can you give to maybe business people out there on things that they can improve on in their own communication?
Compassion and understanding, I think, is very important. And communicating in a way that's, as you can imagine, when you're tapping on the walls, brevity is paramount. And to not get carried away with verbosity and so on. If you have a message or something communicating, you simply say it open and honestly, without worrying about being politically correct or be sensitive, but you don't hurt a person's feelings unnecessarily, certainly. But you have to get the message out. The business has to be done, certainly. But communicating briefly to the point and face-to-face is the most important. I mean, like I say, we get so caught up in email that people, Susan and I, sometimes across the same desk, we work facing each other. Sometimes we'll send an email to each other. Not when they're sitting there, but that that they'll pick it up later on. But I'm going to see her in 5 minutes, so why not just wait and tell her? But I'll send an email. It's crazy.
We sit across from each other, and while we're physically there, we still email each other.
That's right.
So it's a good example.
That's right. It's just one example of how technology has separated us in our humanness. And that's one of the things that a good leader has to be conscious of, is to try to maximize those person-to-person contacts.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.